This podcast has been brought to you by the Umbrella Corporation. Welcome back to another episode of It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. I am one of your hosts, Lugia. We are not sponsored by Umbrella. Umbrella doesn't even exist.
My name is Patrick, and if Umbrella doesn't exist, then what covers me when it's raining?
A poncho.
Okay, these jokes
fair
are
enough.
terrible. I am Red Drum Arts, and today we're going to be talking about the second Resident Evil movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Resident Evil and horror video games, crazy coincidence happened this week.
Yeah, we got remakes. Well, we already knew that we were getting remakes of Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil 4. But those are now actually confirmed to be coming out, and we have some gameplay footage of Resident Evil 4 Remake and the first trailer for the Silent Hill 2 Remake. I know, Patrick, you are not into these series whatsoever. Red, what do you think?
They got rid of Ashley's ears, and that is a travesty. Literally 1984. The ears were the best part of her design. Besides that, it looks fine.
Without context, this sounds really weird.
It is weird, and
I'm gonna ask you guys not to explain. I like it without context.
Okay, fine. I will just say though, Luis really missing out on those ballistics though.
I don't think they look like great or whatever, but I don't know. I kind of just wish they, at least for Silent Hill, I wish they just released the original games because Resident Evil 4, you can play the original on practically any console. Same with Final Fantasy. So the remakes don't bother me because you can always play the original. Silent Hill, you can't play the original because all the re-releases are fucking terrible.
Yeah, the Silent Hill HD collection of 2 and 3, which are very bastardized versions of those games.
Yeah, the only
and I think
Silent
that's
Hill
the
game
last time those were ever re-released.
Yeah, the only Silent Hill game you can really play is the first one. On any modern console, modern
on the PSN store?
Yeah, Silent Hill was on there for a bit.
Okay.
I don't know if it's there anymore, but it used to be.
It might.
The original, the PS1 game, and also PS1 games are a lot easier to emulate. But PS2, kind of a pain to emulate. So the only real way to play it would be to get the original, and I'm like, that's a real shame. Get the original home consoles, which is kind of hard. I don't know. Remake looks kind of weird. I thought James's face looked a little odd, but I don't know.
It's being
whatever.
made by Bloober Team, which a lot of people are very upset by. I think it's because of the one game they did called The Medium.
Yeah. So Bloober Team, they made the Silent Hill a similar game to Silent Hill, but apparently halfway through it was it got really bad the second half, and people were like, yeah, this is awful. So I get why they were chosen because they did make games similar to Silent Hill before, but it wasn't a good Silent Hill knockoff. So I think they might be fine just because the issue with the Medium is a writing thing, but if they're just copying the plot from Silent Hill 2, then it should be fine, I guess, because I don't think people had any issues with the gameplay of the Medium, but I don't know. I'm gonna be cautious about this. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm more excited for Resident Evil 4 Remake than I am the Silent Hill 2 Remake, but we'll just see as the deadlines for the games coming out get closer. So
Well, I just don't see the point of a Resident Evil 4 remake because the original game is pretty much perfect and you can still play it and the graphics and everything holds up.
I know that a lot of people are really hesitant on a Resident Evil 4 remake, but I've said this before on the podcast, I think. As long as they try something different, which from the trailers they're kind of doing, I'm all for it. As long as it's not copy and paste the same game, but with modern graphics and a couple new mechanics. Whereas the Silent Hill 2 remake is looking to be one-to-one the same game, but with an over-the-shoulder camera.
Yeah, but I don't know. Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 2 remake was such a massive overhaul, and this one doesn't really seem as much, so I don't know.
Again,
anyway,
we'll see. All right.
While we're on the topic of Resident Evil, the movie.
The movie that we are talking about right now, or the movie that came out a year ago?
The now movie.
Yeah.
I thought you wanted to distance yourself from.
Trust me, I do.
Raccoon City.
Trust me, I do.
2004. Okay, why don't you give some background?
All right, I got a list here, so brace yourselves. Resident Evil Apocalypse was not directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. In fact, he was more of a producer slash screenwriter for this movie. I mean, he still played a significant role, but as the director, no, that went to Alexander B. Witt, who actually made his directorial debut with this movie.
And he has not actually really directed anything since.
No, not really.
So this was a one-off thing for him.
No, he
Yeah,
did something else
No,
as a
it-
director,
it-
but
Really? What else
directing
did he
wise,
direct?
it was just this, but he was a cinematographer for Ridley Scott's Body of Lies and this one Indian flick, but this was his only directorial feature.
actually, the reason why Paul W.S. Anderson was not a director for this one was because he was working on Alien vs. Predator at the time, and that was a big commitment. Like, that was a big movie to work on. So,
Yeah.
it makes sense. This movie used Resident Evil 3 Nemesis as the basis, with some inspiration from Anderson's favorite films like Escape from New York and The Omega Man, both of which I have not seen, but I have played Resident Evil 3, and yeah, if we want to start somewhere, if you want to see Resident Evil 3 made into a movie, then here you go. It's got Jill, it's got Nemesis, it's got Carlos, kind of, so the
Yeah.
bases are covered.
So what was kind of weird is that the original Resident Evil movie just kind of felt like it probably took place in the same universe, but it was its own story. And some fans want to see, you know, the actual video game characters, so they decide to cater to fans in this one. I personally don't think it was a good idea, but we'll get into that a bit later.
Speaking
But
of
yeah,
video game characters, apparently the character Claire Redfield from Resident Evil 2 was also going to be in the film, but she was scrapped after Emily Burgle and Gina Phillips turned down their roles. So they kind of cut the character completely, although I think she's in some of the later movies.
I guess we'll see if we ever get to those.
I'm not gonna. Alright, I'm just gonna say this right now. This is the last Resident Evil movie I'm suggesting ever.
I heard the fourth one was the best one, so I kind of want to see that, but we'll have to
Well,
see the third one too.
That's up to you, Red, because I have no intention of choosing a Resident Evil
Yeah,
movie. And if Lugia's done, then it's all you.
But yeah, Claire Redfield is in the third film. It looks like.
Okay.
And let me see who's in the. She's also in the fourth one. Chris is also in the fourth one,
They're
as
just
is Wesker.
adding so many characters. Okay. I mean, there's
And
6
Jill-
fucking
Jill-
movies, so they're gonna have everybody by at some point. Is Wesker in one of them?
6 movies over the course
Wesker
of 15 years.
is in the fourth one. Yes.
Of course he is.
Yeah, the fourth one has everyone.
But anyway, going back to the background and characters, Jill was originally meant to be played by Nastasia Henstridge. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But she was unavailable at the time. The role was then given to Mira Sorvino, who considered but eventually declined. And the role eventually went to Sienna Guillory, who plays Jill in the movie.
And she returned. She plays Jill in all of them.
I would say that I'm not familiar with Guillory's performance in anything, but when I took a look at her IMDb, I noticed that she did play a role in an obscure movie called Aragon, which I did see, and I can tell you right now, I remember absolutely nothing about it. Aside from, I think John Malkovich was in it.
That's the one with the dragon, right?
Yeah, it's based off of a book series.
I remember seeing ads for that movie when it came out, but I never saw it myself.
It's very bad.
It's really boring.
It's Star Wars, but bad. She was also in this movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but not the Kiss Kiss Bang Bang you're thinking of. A completely different Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
In relation to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? No.
Dick Van Dyke's 4th movie? No. But going back to casting choices, this one I found very interesting. LJ, the guy with the golden desert eagles and the hat, he's basically the comedy relief character.
Oh, the GTA guy.
Yeah. That role was originally going to be given to Snoop Dogg.
What?
Yeah.
For real?
I'd say was because he dropped out of production. And the role was eventually given to Mike Epps, and the character itself changed to fit his personality. So I'm going to assume that LJ was going to be a stoner.
So if Snoop Dogg left production, that means they had him for a brief point.
Yes.
That is wild to think about. That Snoop Dogg was attached to a Resident Evil movie.
I mean, Snoop Dogg's been attached to odder things. He was in an epic rap battles of history video.
That I did know. That I did know.
Moses.
Moses supposes his toes are roses.
Anyway, any other fun facts?
The role of Matt didn't go back to Eric Mabius from the first movie, but rather it was given to someone else, Matthew G. Taylor, who plays Nemesis, who is a transformation of Matt. But they still show flashbacks of Eric Mabius as Matt from the first movie, so I don't know if that was like a mistake or they just didn't have time, but you have two Matts, I guess, yeah.
Anyway, cool. This movie had a budget of $45 million and made 130, so pretty good financial success.
All right, so should we get into the movie now?
I guess we should.
All right.
All right.
I see no reason to stall.
Okay, so the plot makes no fucking sense. So do you guys actually want to like get into the plot? Because there are so many threads, and I connected to practically none of them.
All right. Well,
yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's. I guess I'll start. Unless you wanted to continue on.
No, I mean, like I'm just like, do we go over? Usually we go over the plot, but like
honestly,
I don't see the point of going over the plot.
Honestly,
the plot is gibberish.
I can kind of sum up this movie by summing up Resident Evil 3's plot. Only kind of. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but basically,
the escape. Listen,
there is no plot for like 45 minutes, and then they try to do like a rescue mission.
Okay,
and that's the extent of it.
Here it is. You mentioned Escape from New York. I'm gonna say, imagine like maybe 40 minutes into the movie, like they kind of vaguely copy the plot of Escape from New York. That's like what I can say. But like, yeah, this movie's plot is ridiculous. Like the only thing I could really like just follow was really like maybe Alice's whole deal, because I remember her character from the first movie. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie does not prioritize plot or character. This is like an hour and a half of action scenes, one after another.
Pretty much.
Fans of the series told me this is the worst movie in the franchise. Yeah, they probably. I assume they're telling the truth, because this was very bad. Yeah, and here's the thing. I liked the first movie. I want to make it clear. I think I said I gave it a 5, but honestly, I'd increase that to a 6. Like I think the first movie, solid enough, like B movie. I don't know. Wasn't feeling this one.
I was not a fan of the first movie. It was all right, but I wouldn't go back to watch it again. This one, I can see this movie being a potentially good time with the right group of people. Just kick back, not give a crap, and just indulge yourself in the nonsense. But otherwise, I'd only really recommend this if you're a fan of the games.
Actually, that is one thing you'd say. This is complete schlock, but it isn't like slow-paced schlock.
It's not boring. It's not boring.
No, yeah, you're definitely gonna get your attention in one way or another.
This is a fun, so bad is good movie. We probably should have seen this together, because that probably might have made it a bit more fun. But yeah, this was like it does not hit the cardinal sin of bad movie, where like a bad movie to me is like a boring movie. This isn't boring.
Yeah, same here.
So like I'm revealing my hand a little bit, but like I'm giving this like a 4 out of 10. But like a 4 out of 10 to me means like it's bad, but it's not like that bad.
I will agree that this movie isn't really well constructed at all. Like I do agree that it's probably bad, but I'm also the most positive out of all of this. After seeing some of the modern takes on Resident Evil in TV and movie adaptations, like Welcome to Raccoon City and the Netflix show, this was like a breath of fresh air. Like I had the goofiest fucking smile on my face when I saw Nemesis walk up to that theater and just shoot a rocket launcher at a cowboy sniper.
Yeah, you can tell that like the writer of the movie was a fan. Is just here's my thing. I know I was criticizing the story, but the reason I don't like this movie is honestly because of the direction. I know you guys were kind of mixed on the first movie, but like the first movie is a better directed movie. Like yeah, we can.
I still like the first movie over this, but this is like good junk food.
This is a popcorn film.
Yeah.
This is purely a popcorn film.
It's complete schlock, and I appreciate how it's fast paced, but like it's hard to me to appreciate the schlock because like the editing, for example, is like really bad. So like I can't even enjoy like the first movie I can enjoy the action, but this one I can't enjoy the action because the editing is just so like bad, or you can't really like I don't know. I thought like the performances were like fine enough. I don't know, like the acting
It was
wasn't like
fine.
good.
Like the performances were
it's just
fine. I
not.
just didn't care. I just didn't care about anybody because the movie
Yeah.
never slowed down to actually give me a reason.
I thought Jill was like okay. Like I've seen worse takes
I
on.
mean, if you're a
video.
fan of Jill in the games, then you'll probably like her appearance here, but they don't really do much with her. It's mainly the Alice show, who isn't even really in the movie for a good half hour.
It'll make sense that Alice would be the main character because she is the main character. You know, the first movie was about her, and the second movie is I don't know.
I'm gonna be completely honest.
Thing.
Other than Jill and Alice, I didn't know anybody's name, and the only reason I did know their names was after they died, and they said, "Oh my God, that guy." So that was his name.
There's this like weird like baby xenomorph thing that like walks around with the chain gun, so that's kind of cool. There was like some ties to like aliens and like John Carpenter stuff in here. I could see. I remember I described the first movie as like James Cameron mixed with like John Carpenter. This one I think tries to lean more into the John Carpenter angle, but it also definitely still has some angles of like I'd still like this movie tries to keep the same thing, but like I think just the direction is worse. Like on a script level, I can see this person still trying to marry John Carpenter with James Cameron because it kind of feels like a mix of like Aliens and Escape from New York.
You guys ever see World War Z?
No.
I have.
This movie reminded me of World War Z, only like a much more action-focused, worse version of World War Z.
I heard World War Z wasn't a good movie though.
I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters back in 2013. But I just remember a lot of the zombie stuff, and I think the end of the movie they're even in like a school. One thing I really remember about World War Z is that at the end of the movie, Brad Pitt is walking through a hallway with zombies, and he gets a Coke from a vending machine. I'm like, was this movie just like an ad for Coke? This is like the best Coke advertisement.
Just
ever.
like how this movie is an advertisement for Umbrella Corporation. If you go into the post-credit scenes, they advertise this movie as a thing that Umbrella made.
That's good transmedia right there.
So I mentioned I didn't like the action scenes, but I did think that one scene where you have like that one bullet and you can see that it has the Umbrella logo on the back, that was kind of funny.
I thought the fight with Alice and Nemesis, just trading fisticuffs, was just so fucking ridiculous, even for Resident Evil standards. But I just couldn't help but laugh. I mean, it was kind of bad, but at the same time, like I was still enjoying it.
This
is pure action cheese.
Next movie should have Alice punch a boulder.
When did the next movie come out?
I think 2007. So 3
and when
years.
did Resident Evil 5 come out?
Let me check.
12, I think. I know the last Mila Jovovich one came out in 2017.
Resident Evil 5 came out 2009.
Okay, so they wouldn't do the boulder punch.
Well, here's the thing though, because like, who knows? Maybe the boulder punch was taken from one of these movies.
That is true because the laser room was in the first movie, and then RE4 used that. You're right.
A lot of like the games does actually take some ideas from the movies. It's kind of like this weird kind of like back and forth the movies and the games have.
I noticed a couple of Code Veronica references in this movie where Alice is running away from helicopter gunfire while glass shatters right next to her. Yeah, and then there's that portion where she puts her hands up, drops her gun, drops on the floor, and then shoots the guards. That's from Code Veronica's intro.
Yeah.
Random question. This is off topic, but random question. GTA guy, is he based on anyone from the games?
No.
No.
What about the news reporter lady?
There is a news reporter in Resident Evil 1 remake for the opening cutscene, and you never see her again.
Okay, because there's a point in this movie where GTA guy, I know he has a name, but I'm sorry.
LJ.
His
can
first
call him
line,
Snoop Dogg wannabe.
I'm sorry. His first line was GTA 10 points after he runs over a zombie. So in my mind, he's just GTA guy. But the point is, there's
what's funny is I don't think he was like trying to reference the game because like just I don't know if he was trying to reference the game or not because Grand Theft Auto is like an actual crime.
I know, but in this day and age,
I don't know like if he was referencing the game or not, if he was referencing the crime.
I don't know. The point is, In my mind, he's GTA guy. Anyway, there's a scene where GTA guy, when he first comes across Jill and the news lady, he says, "Hey, remember me?" When did they ever interact?
I think
Was
in
he
the police station. I think he was one of the prisoners there.
Oh yeah, speaking of the police station, Jill just walks in and starts going to town on killing zombies. We never actually get an introduction from her.
No.
It just jumped. This movie doesn't give an introduction to anybody really.
I don't
Just
think Jill
jumps
was even
in.
given a backstory. Like,
No, she's not. She just walks in. And
I
just,
guess
like,
if you're
boom.
familiar with the games, you could probably consider the events of the first game, like, translating over to the movies, but they don't do anything with that. Not to mention Jill's outfit. I mean, I know the RE3 outfit for Jill is classic, but the reason why she has it on in that game was because she was raided by zombies in her apartment while getting dressed. So she had to get out while she still could. Whereas here, I don't know, I guess she really likes dressing like that.
It's a tube top and a skirt, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like there are certain scenes that are just straight up missing. Like when Alice rides into the church on the motorcycle. When did that? When did
What?
she?
Yeah, what provoked her to go there
Yeah,
and show
I,
off?
like because the first time we see her, she goes into like a clothing store and gets a different outfit. Then we don't see her for like 10 minutes, and then she just drives through the glass window of the church on a motorcycle. And I'm like, did we miss a scene?
I don't know.
I will say, though, I think out of the characters that they brought back, they probably did Nemesis the most justice. I really like what they did with him in this movie.
I don't know. I mean, Nemesis was basically just like some. It was an effective, like, tool for the film. So I thought, yeah, it was decent what they did.
Yeah, because they basically just translated him to the movie from the games. He's hunting down STARS members, and he's gonna fucking kill them.
I'm trying to use it like trying to view it as like disconnected from the games, like as its own thing. And I was like, yeah, I figured if like it's a solid adaptation, but like as its own thing, I thought it was used pretty well. It was an effective movie monster villain.
Him being Matt, I don't think really added a whole lot, but I think it was an alright twist, even though they do kind of like show that flashback 3 separate times in the movie, just to get you to know, hey, this Matt guy was being put in the Nemesis program. Who's this big guy? Nemesis. Oh my god.
I know with the first like few movies, I think like they were trying to tie it with the games a bit, so I think maybe that explanation was there just so like the game people could get maybe an idea of how like this Nemesis came to be. I don't know. I don't remember if the games like ever explain Nemesis.
He's just a bioweapon akin to Tyrant, but he's programmed to hunt down remaining STARS members after the Arclay incident in the first game.
Yeah, I should
It's
make
basically
clear,
Umbrella's way of covering up that incident so that nobody knows what happened there.
I should probably make clear I have not played Resident Evil 3. I played 1, 2, 4. Those are the ones I played.
Okay.
Going back to the church for a second. At one point, they come across a guy who's feeding, I don't know, his mom, his wife, somebody, living people because they're an infected zombie. What's his story?
I guess he just that was his daughter, right? I guess he just really
I don't know
cared
who
about her.
it doesn't specify who it was.
I don't know.
But
I know the Walking Dead had like a character kind of similar, so like I think it was just like the idea of like they just want to like introduce like this idea of like, oh, some people are so grief stricken they can't kill their kids, so they're like.
Honestly, I'd like to see that. I'd prefer if this movie was about him and coming to struggle with the fact that somebody he loved is now a zombie.
Yeah.
What he does
Well,
next.
I guess I recommend checking out The Walking Dead comic or TV show because they both
I don't know.
explore characters like that.
I feel like that character, his inclusion here would make sense in the game as like an NPC. But here it's weird. It's just a one-off and then they're killed. Like everybody else. No time to develop anything.
I don't really have much to say except I thought it was poorly directed, it was poorly edited, but it was fast-paced and the ideas were weird enough where it's entertaining schlock. So yeah.
I do have one more thing I want to say before we start wrapping up. This movie, from a conceptual standpoint, gave me a lot of vibes from Silent Hill Revelations, which is a movie that we all did not like, but
Here's the
obviously...
thing. I want to make this very clear. This is significantly better than Silent Hill Revelations.
It's more entertaining.
Like,
Yeah,
they're both
but-
bad movies, but it's not like Resident Evil Revelations is like one of the worst movies we've seen.
Because here's the thing. Because that is a sequel to a movie that tried to use its own original ideas using the third game as a basis. So it's like, what makes this so different? And obviously, as you guys said, it is because this movie is more fun, it's more enjoyable. I think it's because it does the games justice better. Because I like what they did with Nemesis. I think Jill and Carlos's inclusion was okay. I do like Heather as a main character in Silent Hill 3, but I don't think they do that character justice in Silent Hill Revelations. Not to mention some of the other characters, like Douglas wasn't given a lot of screen time. Vincent was changed completely for the worse. That's just the bare minimum right there. I mean, we already have an episode on that, but yeah.
Oh, here's the thing. These Resident Evil movies, even though like they kind of do their own thing and they're a little bit weird, the guy who made them, who writes them, who directed some of them, he actually like likes the games, and I think that can bleed through. When the Silent Hill Revelations, I'm pretty sure that was just a studio job. I heard the first Silent Hill movie was made by fans, which is why I think people like those more. Sean Bean's in that too. Oh, I didn't
It's
realize.
almost as if the fans know what they want in a movie.
Fans do what Konami
Well,
don't.
I guess. I mean, they're still like not considered like good movies, but they're better than studio hack jobs. So either hire an artist or hire fans, and I don't know, you'll probably get something decent. I looked up the credits for the Silent Hill movie. Why the fuck didn't someone tell me that it was written by Roger Avery? Um, for you guys that don't remember, Roger Avery is Tarantino's co-writer. He wrote Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and True Romance with Quentin
Oh,
Tarantino.
really?
So that's fucking insane that the guy who wrote some of the greatest movies of all time also wrote the first Silent Hill movie, not the second one that we saw that's bad, but the first one that fans are actually like, this is okay.
Also, just one more small thing before we're done. I'm very surprised that they didn't try to get Julia Voth for the role as Jill, considering that they modeled her in Resident Evil Remake after Julia Voth herself.
I mean, this came out like decades before, right?
No, this was 2004. This came out 2 years after Remake.
Oh, you're talking about the RE1 remake.
This movie is not even 20 years old yet.
I thought you were talking about the Resident Evil 3 remake, and I was like,
No.
Yeah, okay, yeah, RE1. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if she's had like acting experience. I don't know. All right. Well, let's see. If you like this movie, check out Escape from New York and Aliens because those are clearly the movies this draws from. Also, this is a 2004 zombie movie. 2004 was a good year for zombie movies, so why don't you just check out the other zombie movies that came out in 2004, like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which is actually a pretty decent movie, and Shaun of the Dead, which is also a great zombie movie.
I will
In fact,
second
it's probably
Shaun of the
best
Dead.
one.
That's a great one. But if you're a Resident Evil fan, it might not hurt to
Also,
watch this one.
also 28 Days Later, because that's what kind of kicked off the 2000 zombie craze. So yeah, early 2000s had a lot of good zombie movies. Watch those instead, including the other Resident Evil movies, because the first one and all the others are kind of better. But again, put this on with some friends, maybe get drunk. You won't have like a bad time, but it's not like a good movie.
It's basically what we're getting at is it's a fine adaptation, but not a good movie.
It's a bad movie, but it's also like so dumb and kind of harmless. So like none of us hate it. It's just we don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like it.
Well, he likes it, but
Say that it's sporadically entertaining, but ultimately disposable.
Again, in
basically.
comparison to some of the recent TV and movie outings of Resident Evil, this is so much better. Like, good God. I will never recommend Welcome to Raccoon City, but if you guys are going to, or if you're just going to watch it on your own time, just take my warning. It's fucking atrocious.
now if I recommend a horror video game adaptation, it's probably going to be the original Silent Hill movie or I don't know, Resident Evil 3 Extinction.
2 Resident Evil movies is enough for me.
Yeah,
I
I'm
leave that-
I'm
I
done
leave
when
that
it comes to
to
Resident
Let's
Evil,
keep
so
this train going. Jaws 3D, and then this. I don't know.
I'll
Friday
leave that to you.
13th.
I was just curious about Apocalypse, and I'm content with what I saw, so I don't
Yes.
think
Yeah.
I need to go any further when it comes to this 6-act play.
Yes.
I
Well,
heard
actually, oh.
I heard the third one's a riff on Mad Max, and I think that'd just be fun. Mad Max zombies, and then what Retribution? I heard Retribution's like the best one. I think that's either 5 or 4. I can't remember.
I think that's 5.
Well, anyway, speaking of Jaws 3, it's my turn now.
No, not this soon. You're not
No,
doing it this
no, I'm
soon.
not. I'm not picking Jaws 3. I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know if I'm actually gonna get to Jaws 3, but
No,
it's
yeah, the Jaws 3 is just like a gag because you just recommended.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
but,
only picked two because I was curious about it because nobody ever talks about it.
What do you
But,
know? That's the same case with this movie.
but anyway, now the Jaws 3 thing is a good segue because I've realized for as many times as we've brought up Jaws in the past, that's the only time we've ever given a Spielberg film its own episode. And I think we're long overdue to return to one of the most legendary directors. What do you guys say?
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Is it? You know what? Spielberg's done so many movies. I don't see the point in guessing. So yeah, just go
I
ahead.
have an
Is it a horror
idea.
movie?
Actually,
Is it a
Lugia,
horror movie?
no. Actually, Lugia, I want you to guess.
I was gonna say Jurassic Park, but when you said it wasn't a horror movie, then no.
Jurassic
AI?
Park's not a horror movie. Jurassic Park is not a horror movie.
I mean, the dinosaurs kind of scared me as a kid.
Yeah, but I mean, Close Encounters scared me as a kid as well, but I wouldn't call that a horror movie.
All right, you know what? Fair enough. All right.
I'd say Jurassic Park's a horror movie. Okay. Here are my guesses.
You get one guess.
Fuck. Okay. You know what? I feel like you might throw like a left hook, so I'm gonna say Hook. That was not a pun. Okay, go ahead.
No, we're going for a much different Spielberg film. This isn't a big budget, big screen epic. This is much smaller. And it's actually pretty significant. It's actually his first movie, and that is the made-for-TV film Duel.
Oh,
interesting.
I don't think I've heard of this one.
I've never heard of this one before either. I
have
recently
heard
about it.
I have heard of it, but I have never seen it. What's kind of funny is that it's kind of got thriller elements like Jaws. So
it is a thriller, but it's not a horror.
So I guess it still fits along with October.
Yeah, I remember someone comparing it to that Tarantino movie, Death Proof. So yeah, this will be fun. Duel.
I'm in the mood for some high octane thrills. It's been a while.
And apparently, like, it's actually like a good movie. It's not like, who would have guessed, like Spielberg's debut. We've talked about his first two movies. That's kind of funny. One day we'll talk about one of his later entries. One day we're gonna talk about the fucking episode 1 of Columbo, because Spielberg directed the first episode of Columbo, not the pilots, like the first like real episode.
Huh?
Yeah, bet you didn't know that.
Well, how long is that?
I mean, it's a TV episode, so it's an hour.
Okay, maybe. Who knows?
Nah, if we talk about Columbo, we'll probably talk about the pilot movie, which is an actual movie. But yeah.
Have you guys seen Columbo?
Cool. I have
not.
Ah, okay.
I have. It is a good show. I recommend it. It holds up. I think anyone can enjoy it if you're into detective mysteries.
I caught a bit of that with my grandmother. That and Monk, which is also a detective television series.
I haven't seen Monk, but I've seen Psych, which is like a spiritual successor to Monk, I heard. Anyway.
Close this out.
Like how we just got off topic.
That's the fun part, getting off topic.
But thank you for watching. Enjoy your umbrella toast in your umbrella beds. Brought to you by Umbrella.
I'd buy that for $1.